Distinguished participants, organized with great effort and attention by Creamice, Global Marketing Summit, the greatest meeting point for marketing, is continuing up next with professional executive coach, trainer, speaker, consultant, academy leader of Selling to the Point, founder of Virtus Idea and solution partner of Shapka Consultancy, Mr. Erdem Erol. Welcome. Hello, thank you for joining us. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. It's very valuable to have you here, and we will be listening to you with a great deal of attention. The floor is yours. Yes, today I will be talking about a very important approach that will change the whole world and sales. That may sound very ambitious, but it will really change everything from the roots. It's a new approach, and it is a way to make much more sales, really. And when I talk about sales, I need to talk to you about why we need to remove the word selling from our lives and our business cards. I'd like to start with a story. In 2010, we were talking with executives in companies, and we said, let's start a project. I think it was February. And we said, let's mentor our friends in sales and let's provide coaching and let's help them improve. And we started a program. The plan was together we would go to sales meetings, and after uh, joining them throughout their sales pitch. We wouldn't, say anything then, but after the sales pitch, we would give them feedback and help them improve. So in 2010, May, I was with someone called Cenk from sales. He's 30 years old. His sales weren't doing so well in the recent months. He was a brunette, like 180 height, and he had a nice beard, a very nice guy. So when you see Cenk, he's a very pleasant, cute guy. So we jumped in the car together with Cenk, the company car, and we went to one of the very important clients of Cenk. And Cenk is married, by the way, and he told me some great news. He said, my wife is pregnant. I said, wow, congratulations. But he said, everything is so expensive. We looked at a stroller, the prices are like a joke. And then the diapers are also very expensive, he said. He listed a lot of things. And then I said, well, schooling is also expensive. So I added on to the burden, and Cenk was already feeling the pressure of not being able to meet his sales target in the last couple of months. So we reached our destination a little early. And I said, let's sit at this cafe and let's talk about how you prepared. So Cenk said, well, recently I went to a sales training and I learned new things and I tried to add those as well. And I said, what are they? And he said, well, they put people in boxes, yellow, red, and blue. Blue are people who are very detail oriented. And the person we are going to is called Ahmed, and he is the group president of procurement. And he has a secretary in her 50s, Miss Jale, and I asked her, is he detail oriented? And she winked. So I got that information and prepared with that, he said. So anyway, we went upstairs, eighth floor. It's the executive rooms, and the secretary, Miss Lale, took us inside on time, and Mr. Ahmed greeted us. He has this very nice wooden table and a very nice view, very pretty, fancy black sofas. So we sat on those, and then we started the meeting. And Mr. Ahmed said, okay, I'm listening to you. So Cenk is very well prepared, and he had gone to the previous meeting. He knows that Mr. Ahmed is detail-oriented. So Cenk started to talk about the product, and Mr. Ahmed is leaning back, changing positions, coming towards the front, tying his arms, and sometimes he gets bored, and Cenk is going into more and more detail. And at one point, Cenk noticed that's not going to work, so he moved on to talk about the second product. And of course, uh, there is no reaction still from the client, so that's causing more pressure on us. So not much time passed and something interesting happened. Cenk noticed that Mr. Ahmet is kind of, crossing his eyes. He put his notes aside and he said, "Mr. Ahmet, I think I'm boring you." And he was very sincere. And Mr. Ahmet then leaned forward and said, "Look, we talked about it in the first meeting as well. Let me say it one more time. What I want is a good price since I'm a good customer. I'm a big account. I want good price," he said, "and I want good customer service. And in operations, we want to make sure everything works smoothly. So I want very good customer service, and we need to be very good in operations. We had a lot of trouble in this area before," he said. Cenk was very happy. He leaned forward and said, "Mr. Ahmet, the good price issue is something you don't need to worry about. And customer services," he said, since he heard that's what they want, Cenk said, "In 3 hours, we will resolve all your problems. We have great customer service." And then before he could move on to the third point, Mr. Ahmet looked at his watch and said, "Look, guys, I'm sorry, but I need to get going. We have a board meeting." And he just basically sent us off. So of course, this story may have been boring for you, but it's not the story. The issue is quite troublesome. Now, when we look at Cenk throughout the meeting, basically, he was very good at everything he was taught to do in terms of sales. He was well prepared, he has great product information, he is speaking like a TV host, he has done the character analysis, and that's why he's providing details. But the customer and myself, we were so bored, like we could have cut our wrists. And at that point, Cenk becomes frank and says, "I think you're bored." And that's where kind of a sincere relationship is formed and communication is starting. And Cenk hears good customer service, and with a sales reflex, right away he starts responding to those. And throughout the whole process, Cenk was thinking this: "Oh God, I need to buy a baby stroller for Emel, my wife. Mr. Erdem is here as well. I hope when we go back to the company, he doesn't say anything bad about me because I might lose my job." And Emma was about to quit her job as well. "If we both quit, we're going to have a baby. What are we going to do?" And now he's tying his arms. He's closing off the communication with me. And then he found the hope and thought, "Okay, Ahmet is back now." And then right after his sales pitch, Ahmet said goodbye. Now, is it possible for Cenk to listen and analyze while he is going through so much trouble in his mind? Now, think about yourself when you're going through troubling times. Are you able to listen to any one of your friends, even? This is a sales meeting, it's not just a simple social setting, and it is basically some sort of struggle. And he has all these fears in his mind, like, "I can't make a living, I can't take care of my family," and then we expect him to perform well. So basically, it is now time to change all of this. Now, when we think of sales, the mind automatically diverts towards sales, and I start to judge myself about my sales performance. Did I sell well? And also, the managers are judging you. Cenk's manager, for example, had said to him, "You're not doing bad, you're not doing well for the past 3 months. If this continues, I don't know what will happen." So basically, when you go to a company to start working in sales, basically you give them a target, a mountain they need to climb, and you give them training. And one of the trainings is character analysis, putting people in boxes, but people don't fit into those boxes. In the case of Ahmet Bey, for example, he is blue, right? He's detail oriented, and Cenk was prepared accordingly. Now, Cenk is a great guy. He's very hardworking. He's receiving the training and he's implementing it. But actually, all these concepts that we have learned throughout the past actually are harming the sales process. Because yes, Mr. Ahmet can be detail oriented, but he's sick of listening to the same things over and over again. He just wants to the point meetings and he knows what he wants. So we could give an example from relationships, for example. Sometimes one person says, you're not paying attention to me like you used to. And then you buy flowers, you take them to dinner, you're panicking because that relationship is valuable for you. And then 3 days later, you hear the same thing. And then the fights break out because you're thinking, what else do I have to do to keep this relationship? And then your girlfriend says, you don't stroke my hair like you used to. So it's similar to what happens in sales relationships. Now, as soon as I say sales, my brain starts thinking, did I sell well or not? 300, 500, the past, the present, the future, my fears. So all that system is triggered. So there's a great way to abandon all of this. And sales, the word sales will probably be removed from card visits. And you have probably heard of persuasion and negotiation techniques. Now, persuading is basically persuading the other person to your own beliefs. So no one wants to be persuaded or convinced. Everyone wants to be seen and understood. So the entire system is changing. The whole mindset is changing, and that comes from the state of being. First of all, the state of being needs to be relaxed. Now, is confidence important in sales? Everyone would say yes, it's the most important thing. You need to create confidence. Now, you look at the researches, and the percentage here is 3%. So we are telling ourselves so many lies. And when you have someone who is so concerned in front of you, how can you create confidence? Plus, do you want to see someone who is so concerned and worried in front of you? No. So, how do you build confidence or trust? Well, that person will trust you only if they believe that you are helping them. Now, let's say you are a foreigner and your sibling comes to sell you something, would you buy it? We ask. And at one point they say, no, I wouldn't. I'd get pissed off at some point. So it is hard to trust a foreigner, someone who's foreign to you. So we found ways to work with our body in that sense. To give you a very simple example, and actually, this needs to be an experiential process so you can truly internalize it. But close your eyes. Now, say to yourself, I wake up every morning to sell. Look at the reaction of your body. We said this to hundreds, thousands of people, and they all said, I feel a lot of stress around my neck and shoulders. And then close your eyes and I mean, because when you first got into sales, you didn't do it to sell something. You went into sales maybe because you like human relations, because it is a great experience to get to know people, or maybe you liked solving riddles or puzzles, and every client is a puzzle to solve. So you travel from place to place. So the reason you got into sales is because you wanted the pleasure of it. So now close your eyes and say, I go to work every day to help someone. Believe me, more than 1,000 salespeople said, I felt so peaceful when I said this. So basically, when you remind yourself about your purpose, the story changes. And then you start to think, I'm not going there to sell something, I'm going there to get to know someone. And I've been in sales for years, and I visited various parts of Turkey. And the main reason I became part of this mentorship program was this. I was so bored at office. I was involved in pricing mostly, and I wanted to get out. I didn't really want to help Cenk or anyone. I just wanted to get out of the office. And once you get out, you say, wow, thank God, at least I can go and meet new people rather than sitting in the office. So I was re energized. And that's why I realized how much I liked sales only after I stopped doing sales and went to the office. So basically, with all these assumptions and prejudices that you have, and when you become aware of them, you start to change your relationships. And one of the most important issues of our day is the burnout syndrome. And burning out is really this. Now, you plant a seed, it turns into a sapling, and then it turns into a tree, and then it is giving fruit, and you don't have the energy left to pick the fruits from the tree. And I have done this many times as well. Shall we move to the Aegean region? Shall we open a little cafe? Or I'm jealous of a cat. Wow, they are so relaxed. Now, if you have started saying this, this means you're reaching the burnout zone. So basically, we have a lot of areas to work on, and we need to work on these with an experiential manner. So all these concepts that we taught to people, what are they doing to people? We put a mountain in front of Cenk, and we said, go climb. And we have some branches there for them to hold on to. And he said blue as he was climbing, but the blue branch broke off, and we are saying you need to climb. Now, then the guy crossed his arms, and what is the information we have about this? If someone crosses their arms, they're closing their communication channel to you. So the guy's already stressed, and once he sees the arms crossed, he's more stressed. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to mean that he is closing his communication channels. Neuroscience is telling us that sometimes people can cross their arms when they start thinking, because we have this incredible system in the background that helps for our respiration, our heartbeat, our movement, and basically he is crossing his arms because he is thinking, and that's why he is open to danger, because he's in his own mind, and he's closing his arms because he doesn't want to be threatened by any danger around him. But as a salesperson, you are thinking he is crossing his arms because he's closing communication. Now, as a salesperson is thinking about their own problems in their mind, they can't do anything. You need to be in this state of being. And if you work with a judgment system all the time, then basically you will be changing the lives of those around you as well. Now, everyone wants everyone to empathize. Now, first of all, to be able to do that, you need to move away from your primitive brain, and you can create a much more confident working environment. And this starts with leaders. And let me tell you this has to happen if you don't want to remain at 3% levels in terms of customer confidence index, and in terms of customer experience, if you don't want to be below 90%, then you're going to have to try and do all this. Now, you may have heard this. There are some companies that actually celebrate mistakes, and this is actually the reason they do this. Now, I feel like it's the other end of the pendulum, but still, at least to establish this culture and to remove the stress off the people so they can be themselves, this is necessary. And I want to talk about the other concepts or patterns. Now, I have seen so many examples. We were providing training to an international company to hundreds of people, and what they did was they gave 15 questions to all the salespeople, saying you have to ask these 15 questions to all clients. And their performance evaluation is based on whether or not they're asking these questions. And it was very interesting, some of the questions. It was an automotive company, and there was a question about, are you going to use your car within the city, or will you travel between cities? And another one, is comfort important for you? Now, the customer says yes. and then the salesperson takes you to the most comfortable car with like leather seats and stuff. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, comfort for me means a nice navigation screen, having a leather steering wheel, and having parking sensors are enough. So basically, it's a waste of time, and you're frustrating customers because not all questions match all customers. And if you don't ask the questions, you get a low performance evaluation. Now, we provided the sales trainings in groups because we wanted everyone to be able to experience it and really internalize this. So since we are doing trainings in different groups, after the first training, some people who receive the training are coming and saying, wow, a client which we thought would never buy the car bought it, and they said thank you to us. So you get all this feedback, and I guess they also realized that they were making a lot of assumptions and not asking certain questions. And really, salespeople are becoming more at ease when they are allowed to move outside of these patterns. And one thing that's very important today is agility. It's all over the place. Now, what is agility? It is basically to be able to adapt. You can't adapt if you have patterns. So we need to get rid of all the patterns, and we need to let Cenk be Cenk and Erdem be Erdem. Otherwise, you know what they say? They say they feel like robots. You give us the questions, and we just ask those questions, and we hate it. And that's why we can't perform. And there are some salespeople who can be sales champions when you get rid of those questions. Or we have an example, for example, there was a bank branch employee who was about to be laid off because of low performance. And what they do is they take off the sales pressure, and that young woman that year becomes the sales champion. And everyone is thinking, wow, how did that happen? Well, this is why it happened. We need to be more flexible, more agile. We need to be able to adapt better. And of course, this is a marketing summit, and it is the first time sales was invited in as a topic. And I'll tell you why. Now, sales tries to understand the product and the customer very well, and sales tries to express the product. So marketing is trying to understand the customer, but sales is trying to sell the product. So there is a huge difference here, and that's why marketing is much closer to this concept I'm talking about. And we don't provide this training only for salespeople because we are moving from the state of being. We can create teams that can find intrinsic motivation. And when you take all of this account, there is actually a piece of gold here for marketing as well, because marketing today is conducting focus groups to understand the customer, then inventories, simulations, and then there is this amazing data coming from sales. This is invaluable, really. And what's even better is marketing, when they want to implement a specific strategy, sales and marketing will be able to understand each other much better, and there will be less resistance. So all strategies can be brought to life more comfortably. But there's something even more valuable. People are not just going to look at each other, but they're going to see each other. People are not just going to listen each other, but they're going to hear one another, because we are going to start to see each other. So that's why there's going to be much more love and understanding in the environment. Now, I am a very lucky person because I had the chance to work with people like Timothy Ballway, the father of modern coaching in the world, Jeffrey Lipsius, who also focuses on these issues, and Jill Conrad, who was the writer of the best-selling book Agile Sales. He has the same mentality. He says, why did it take us so long to find the right way in sales? And there was a question apparently he received where he was asked why he was so successful, and he said, I was better able to cope with my fears. So now Rumi has a very nice saying. He says, yesterday was yesterday. It is time to say new things now. So it's time to experience new things now as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. we enjoyed listening to you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.